guys, welcome to episode 5 of This and That. We are here with Mez and Jorge, two of the creators of Phantasmagoria. And I wanted to ask you guys, first question of the day, what makes you guys geeks?
Oh,
You want to start, Maz?
So,
I
Mez,
geek out about so much stuff. I just fall in love with things, and then I just dive right in. I get obsessed with them. Shows, movies, books, music, artwork, just everything. I just fall in love, and so I would consider myself part of so many fandoms. It would be really hard to narrow it down. But think the first thing I geeked out over was probably Masters of the Universe, Skeletor in
Amen.
particular. So,
That's
interesting
fair.
that you fell for the bad guy. Like you didn't mention He-Man, you mentioned Skeletor.
oh yeah, I love the bad guys.
Me too. Darth Vader's my man. How about
yeah.
you, Jorge? What makes you a geek?
Um, Truly, like he was saying, comic books, music. For when it comes to like old cartoons, he already took out one of the most important ones, so I'll choose a '90s one. I love gargoyles.
Oh yeah.
I fell in love with gargoyles. I have like random art done by other creators. Like here's one by one of the creators that's involved in the story that does an art for Goliath. I even have like an original, what's this thing called? Production cell, an animation cell of Goliath from one of the early episodes. So specifically gargoyles, but a little bit of everything: comic books, cartoons, movies. Uh, it's hard to pin it down. It's such a wide variety of stuff.
You both passed the test. You're geeks. Welcome. So
and also,
Jorge,
I got picked on in school a lot.
Oh, that's part of the territory.
yeah.
that definitely
So
is.
I got my badges.
So Jorge, I know we met recently at a ToyCon, and you
Yes.
were selling this comic book. And after that, I found out about this project of yours. So why don't you tell the viewers about what is it that you guys are creating together?
Okay, so um, the story's called Phantasmagoria. It's an anthology, a collection of short stories. Specifically, it is 9 stories done by a dozen creators, or a little more than a dozen. I always lose count. I say a dozen because it makes my life easier. I think each other interview, I'll say like 14, 13, 15. It's over a dozen. It's just so many people that are involved. There's so many cogs involved in this story. Going back to it, it's called Phantasmagoria. It's a horror anthology. It's currently in Kickstarter right now. Um, to give you an idea, it's going to be a debut issue. It's going to be issue 1, and within those 9 stories, um, we did a head count. I think it was like half of them are brand new stories, brand new characters that hasn't been seen before. There's 2 or 3 that have already appeared in their own books, and this is kind of like a little side story, like I was explaining earlier. Um, but for the most part, you have. We'll talk about first his and mine. Mez has one called Orion's Cube, and it's
Mhm.
about a truck driver that encounters a Wendigo, but nobody believes him. So that's what his story's about. Mine is part of Exodus Z, the comic book that you saw at Pompano Beach Toy Con. It is a side story where I want to say, imagine you have the issue one's linear story. By page 8, it breaks off and then it does its own thing and then it branches back into the story like about halfway through. So it's just kind of like a little extra. I wasn't able to add it to the original book just because it wouldn't fit well because it'll just jump here and then jump back. So we did that excuse me, as a little side story for it. We have another one called Angie Gogo, which is about a stripper turned vampire. Um, that one's done by John Psychokotsis, and the colorist is called Dwayne Doherty. Um, which one else? So we have another one called Gaia Succession. It's created and written by Joe Gonzalez. He's actually local from Miami. I helped him co-write it. The artist is Mark Oliver, and the one that does the lettering is Mika Myers. Going back to mine real quick, because I didn't mention my creative team will kill me. So I wrote and created Exit Z. My artist is John Eppel. He's from Orlando. There's a lot of locals, except for Mez. Mez is different time zone. Um, the colorist is Edgar Wolf, and the letterer is Nikki Powers. Um, there is another story called Ingrown, where a woman discovers that an ingrown hair may be a symptom to a greater bodily corruption. It's done and created everything by Bob Garronellis, which is actually the gentleman I was saying that he did the art of Goliath. So let me put that back real quick. Another one is it's a good amount. I think I'm about halfway there. It remembers. It remembers is about a town that prepares for a mysterious creature that traditionally returns. But what happened when it remembers? It's done by John Westhoff, and the artist is Orlando Guzman. Another one's called Oculus Diavoli. Attracted by greed, anger, and lust, the Thomasville killer, the Oculus Diavoli, awakens and escapes from his eternal prison. It's more of a demon story than anything else. Everything's horror based, obviously, so you're gonna have a lot of weird creatures going on. Orion's Cube, which I already mentioned, that's done by Mez. Mez Magnificent. We got two more, last two. Another one's called Sexually Transmitted Demons. So yeah, you can kind of figure out what's going to happen. It's still an STD, but the D, instead of it being a disease, a demon. It's done by Juan Navarro. He was from here, from Miami as well, from Hialeah, but he moved over to Texas. I don't remember what part. And the last one is called The Tales of Goop. You follow Goop the Frog as he faces a bloodthirsty vampire, the wrath of kings, and his own mortality. That story, he ends up actually getting bit himself, so he technically dies, comes back to life. So he's a vampire frog. Really cool story. I've already seen the majority of the art. Mez has as well. Very cool person. It's done by C.L. Zeno, and the letter is done by Michael Myers. Those are all the 9 stories. It's a good amount. It's a lot of stuff.
That's
a lot of stuff for such a small book. Let me rephrase it. For such a single campaign, it's going to be over 80 pages for now. We're trying to make it available to everyone. So the book is $15. Which for that page count, it's very cheap. We're just trying to get out there. A lot of these stories are brand new. A couple
you could get
of these creators,
the digital version for like $7, right?
Yeah, the digital version could come out for $7 for those that want to just have an idea of how the story is, and they want to incorporate into the campaign. There's a lot going on. So we have the digital, like Mez explained, the physical copy, and then each of the stories have their own variant covers. So it's a lot of different covers. So we have the main cover. The one that he's holding is actually his cover, which he offered that cover in the campaign. And before the ending of the second day of the campaign, which we're on day 3, somebody already picked it up. So that is sold off to somebody as long as we're successful. There's 9 different covers. There's this thing called the Digital Deluxe that they want to incorporate a little more than just the $7 to help. And the Digital Deluxe is right now, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 11 digital books for $20. Throughout the campaign, we're going to be adding more books into it. So for $20, you're going to eventually get less than $1 per book. It includes Exit Z digitally. There's one called Avengers Theory, which is the creator of C.L. Zeno, the one that does the Tales of Goop, the zombie frog. A couple books by the creator of It Remembers, and a couple other people that are also incorporating into it as a little help. These other creators that are not part of the project, but they were willing to throw in their book into the Digital Deluxe.
Got it. Mez, I want to hear about the Wendigo. I'm very curious about this Wendigo.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the story
So my
without
story.
spoiling it, please. Don't spoil it because I want to read it.
Yeah, yeah. So as he said before, it's about a truck driver, and he's he's encountered things before, and he drinks a little bit, so people don't really know if he's telling the truth or if he's not, right?
Mhm.
And so he runs across the Wendigo, and if for him to tell it, the Wendigo never stood a chance, right? But the real story might be a little different than that.
That's awesome. And is this the first time you're publishing a comic
Yeah,
story, or?
so my book Orion's Cube it's like I like to explain it as Tales from the Crypt meets X-Files. It's a bunch of short stories, but there's an overlapping theme and storyline that connects them all. And this is the first time it'll be showing, and then the first issue I'm aiming to get it out by October. I'd like to have a Halloween release. So
That's great. But you told me there's something else you're working on as well?
uh,
No. Okay.
no, just the other stories for that book. So
Okay.
this is the first time one of the short stories will be published, and but it is a part of a bigger book that I am working on.
Got it. Okay, so let's talk about angels and zombies, Jorge.
Ooh. So we're talking about Exit Z at this point. Okay, so I'll basically give the same sales pitch I gave you at the Toy Con. So it's literally memorized.
It made me buy the book, so
it worked. It worked.
It
So Exit Z is going to be a 3-issue miniseries. This doesn't include like the short story here, which this one's called Zombie Fubar. Each story has their own subtitle. It's it's the zombie apocalypse reaching the gates of heaven. So it's the what's worst case scenario on everything. So let's already jump into the horror genre where the zombie apocalypse exists. It throws you into the zombie apocalypse, and there's people that are just trying to escape. They're trying to they'll do anything. And when I say anything, they even go to their church and they pray, and they're trying to find salvation. And in this world, it actually occurs. They start getting beamed up, etc., etc. I'm not going to spoil too much, but I'm going to stop at a specific point. But what happens when somebody, as they're being saved and they're being beamed up, technically they didn't die, they're just being saved, kind of like a rapture situation. What if they get attacked by a zombie and mid-transfer they convert and they land in the gates of heaven converted? So that's basically it. Like I said, it's going to be a 3-issue miniseries. The first issue is called How on Earth. Issue 2 is going to be called For Heaven's Sake. And issue 3 is going to be called Oh, Hell No. So you kind of have an idea what's going to be happening, what direction we're going to be going. It's like old school horror with religious mysticism, along with comedic relief, because
great cameos. Great cameos.
And that's a little bit of what I wanted to talk about.
What I'm gonna say is that they all came from a comic book convention. Maybe they came from Pompano Beach Toy Con. I don't know when they were getting saved.
Yeah. Yep. Because, and I'm going to ask you about this as well, Mez. But since I've seen Exodus Z, I noticed that the story has a lot of different, very interesting characters that I was not expecting to see. And like you got baseball players, you got punks, you've got.
I know exactly where you're talking about, that part where it's winding to the gates of heaven, and you could just see a little bit of everybody. Yeah, that was a fun page. John, my artist, did an amazing job. First of all, so this version of heaven is very open-minded, and it doesn't judge, like for some reason how half of this world does now. So everybody's invited as long as you're cool to the party, you know.
Well, The characters were definitely cool, but there was some very like I even there was a character that when he spoke, it was very on character. One of them in particular, also that I remember that I immediately knew who it was when I read it. Go check it out, and you'll find out as well. And I love that about the story, and the fact that it kept you on the edge of every page. You skipped, like you were learning about what was happening with the characters pretty much. It's not like you fed me the information right away. I had to start discovering what was going on, because at the beginning it was just a couple of kids running. I won't tell where, but they were running, and you're like, where are these people going and why? So I love that aspect, that mystery, that horror feeling that you get right from the get-go. That it was very well done, and kept me, like I said, kept me on the edge of the seat.
I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed it.
Yeah, very much. I'm looking forward to reading more. Mez, I wanted to ask about the characters. We know there's a truck driver, but who else are we going to encounter? Any cool characters are we going to encounter
in this book? In this book, you'll see the truck driver, the Wendigo, and then there's a little sneak peek of somebody that's going to be showing up later in the books. You get to see the nice version of him. But throughout Orion's Cube, there's tons of characters. In particularly, it follows my narrator character, who I like to call my crypt keeper, right? So it follows my narrator character. It follows the cube that he has and its origins on planet Earth. We have the truck driver. We have a little kid. We have a group of teenagers. We have a scarred up hero. We have a detective and his family. And those are kind of all the people that get involved in these short stories. And not to mention all the ghosts, ghouls, goblins, and aliens. Anything you could imagine that you'd like to see in sci-fi or horror will make an appearance. Slashers, all of it. So the bad guys will be cool. I promise that. That's the bad guys will be cool in every issue. That's what I love, starting way back since Skeletor. So I figure you can't have a good movie, comic, or TV series without a good villain.
You're right. I was gonna say, since you love bad guys so much, I expect a good bad guy showing up in this story. So tell us about the Kickstarter, Jorge. I know you mentioned that it's already up. Tell us how long do we have to get in on it? And you mentioned already a little bit about the pledges, but tell us a little bit more about what's going on there.
So let me just check real quick right now. So the goal is 5,500 because it's such a large book. It's 80 plus pages, so it's easily already 3x the size of a regular comic book. So it's going to be an anthology. So it's going to be bounded. Think of more gargoyles. So it's going to be like bounded like that, and it's going to say Phantasmagoria, etc., etc. I'm not doing this on purpose.
I like how every time he takes something out, he has to put it back. He's just like me. I would also have to go put it back. I can't just.
I don't want to show.
There's just so many things around me. I don't have space.
My art desk right now because nothing is put back. It all has a place, but if I put it back, I might not get the right color out. So we gotta make sure all the ones I'm using over the course of this project are out on the desk and everywhere. So it's a mess right now.
We all have our styles, and that's what makes us unique. And what more unique than this project that you're putting together? I love the uniqueness of it. How many more days for the Kickstarter? How many?
So I originally started it for 35 days. Usually they say a good mark is between 20 to 30. You could technically Kickstarter allows you to do up to 60, but it becomes like a bit of a drag for everybody. I put 35. I forgot why I put 35. Oh, I put 35 because I'm going to be at FinCon at MDC, which is next month, the 15th. And I wanted to make sure I was still able to advertise the campaign while I was there, which will be different because unlike in Pompano Beach Toy Con, which is already the third time I mentioned that he's going to have to give me something, I wanted to be able to be like, look, this is the campaign. This is how much we need. Let's figure something out so then you can back the book. It's a little bit easier. Right now we're at 1,322. This is
Okay.
a day 3, so it's not bad.
Mhm.
Out of 35 days, we're more than, what is it, 22%. So I'm confident that we're going to reach it.
So we're on day
36 backers right
three.
now.
Day 3 today is, we're recording this on May 15th. So do the math.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. And Mez, I know you're in Colorado, but where can we see you or find you next?
Mostly I'm on Instagram at that same name there, Mez_Mad_Freak. That's where most of my artwork goes to. I am on Facebook under the same thing, TikTok under the same thing, and YouTube. I believe I'm Mez_Magnificent. But those ones don't get all the stuff that Instagram gets. Instagram's my preferred social media platform.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Me too.
All right. Anything else you want to add, Jorge?
I think we basically went over the majority of the stuff.
I think so.
So I'm also on Instagram. So let me tag myself up in there. I go by The Comic Unknown. Phantasmagoria does have its own Instagram account, specifically because in The Comic Unknown, I'll be talking about Phantasmagoria, but I also talk about Exodus Z and any future projects. But I try to always have at least one Instagram account where it's specifically about a specific book, especially if it's going to be a recurring one. But yeah, I'm heavy on Instagram. I have Threads. I don't really use it that much because Instagram hasn't implemented smart technology where if I post on Instagram, it'll post on Threads. But they do have it that it'll post on Facebook, so I know it's possible.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook, The Comic Unknown, or I think Facebook, I'm Comic Unknown. Instagram and Twitter, I'm The Comic Unknown. Somebody took Comic Unknown, so I had to add the in the front. What else? And yeah, that's basically it. Outside of that, we do have this thing called the Wham stands. Let me show you that real quick.
While he's getting that, I just wanted to say that on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8:30 Eastern, I am a part of a group called the Odd Contenders. Goes live on Instagram, and we do a similar thing. We have different artists on to promote their stuff, and special guests, and then sometimes it's just the good old Odd Contenders doing a challenge, and then the way it got started, the reason it's called the odd Contenders is we would just get prompts, and everybody would give one character, like say Batman, and then we would give each other a different character that he was fighting. So it would be like Batman versus Mickey Mouse, or Batman versus Godzilla, or whatever, it could be from anywhere. And so it was dubbed the Odd Contenders, and then it kind of grew more into having guests and promoting other creators.
Sounds
great.
great.
Yesterday, I believe we had CO Zeno on Odd Contenders.
Yeah, he was
Odd Contenders have blessed us as a group for Phantasmagoria for this week and next week. We're spitting out one of the creators, and they're just involving themselves. So when they add their stuff, and you actually see them doing their work, some of the Odd Contenders will do like a fan art for that story. So it's a very cool way to interact with the community and have other people involved outside of the creative team.
And in the Odd Contenders, there's something for everybody too. There's so many artists involved.
Definitely. It's not just horror. It's not just
it covers all genres.
Genre. Definitely. Awesome. But this is what I was going to refer to. So these are called the Wham stands. They were at the convention. Basically, it has a magnetic thing here, and I have the logo of Phantasmagoria. So then when you do that, you put the book right here, and it holds up. So it'll be on a stand, the Wham stand. It's also available on the Kickstarter. I know I actually had 2 of my Wham stands at the con. Somebody actually picked them up because it's such a cool and unique way to be able to showcase your whatever book you have. And if you go to their website, they actually have Marvel books and DC comics with this, and a whole bunch of indie creators as well. There's an Exodus Z one as well. There's a whole bunch of them. So outside of that, we have the collector's bundle, which that will be people to check out at the Kickstarter, which somebody picks up all 10 covers of the exact same book. That's it's a collector's piece, and basically I think we basically hit the nail with the majority of the Kickstarter campaign. Outside of us being at 1322, and we have 36 backers as of today, 5:15 at 8:42.
That's great. That's great. Well, congratulations. I really hope that it does well. I'm looking forward. I'm jumping. I got the link now, so I'm jumping right into to back it up and be a part of it. And
Thank you.
More. The stories look amazing and so unique. So I really think that you guys. I'm happy to see that more unique artists, local, Colorado, anywhere, are sharing, because there's so much talent out there, and it's great that you guys are doing this and doing it together, which is even better. So thank you so much for the information. I think this was very informative. I loved it. I love hearing more about it. I just had one comic book, and that's all I had. So I'm glad to have gotten more information. But before we go, I always ask my guests these 3 questions. So Mez, we'll start with you. What is your favorite movie?
True Romance.
Oh, very nice.
Wow.
Okay, and why?
It's just a great movie. Christian Slater is amazing in it. It was Quentin Tarantino's first written screen film, but he didn't get to direct it. Oliver Stone did, and I think it just puts a better twist on any of the other movies that he has created. It was just, it's just great. I love that movie.
Love it. Okay, awesome. How about you, Jorge? What's your favorite movie and why?
I'm gonna do a bit of a cop out. I'm gonna go specifically with modern horror because I have so many favorite movies. It's always a difficult question for me, but I can watch the movie Train to Busan a million times and never get bored, which kind of makes sense, I guess, because it's a zombie movie. So I'll go with that one. Don't get me wrong, I'm not all horror. I love my comedies, action, adventure, but I always have a hard time answering that question because I start over analyzing everything, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, because you can only pick one.
Yeah, you can only pick one.
Most people that come on the show have a harder time with the next question. But see, I'm in a band called At the Starlight. So because once you're in a band and you play music, you want to hear what's people's favorite songs. So Jorge, what is your favorite song?
Okay, so usually I want to say usually people's favorite is something that they heard in their teenage years, things like that. I was obsessed with Linkin Park and Daft Punk. So if I were to choose Daft Punk, I would say Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. If I were to go with Linkin Park, I'll probably say Faint.
Okay, the bassist for my band would love you. How about you, Mez? What's your favorite song?
I think as of today, the song that I would, not my overall for all time favorite song, but as of today, my favorite song would be Sun Little, Mad About You. I listen to that song a lot right now. It's definitely the one that gets the most plays for me at the moment. It would be a lot harder to pick a favorite song of all time. Oh my God. I listen to so many genres and different kinds. That's a hard one. So I'm just going to stay with Sun Little.
I think one of the issues is that we have favorite songs for different occasions. Like we have a favorite song when
100%.
favorite song when we want to relax. So it makes it difficult. I would say that you would have gotten extra points if you would have picked one of the songs from my band. But I understand, it's okay. So anyways, this podcast is sponsored by a board game channel, Meeple Village. So obviously, I have to ask, Mez, what's your favorite board game?
I think, you know what? We were talking about this earlier, and I was thinking about it during the show, and I think I'm actually going to say Clue. I used to love that game.
Oh, I love Clue.
Yeah, so I think I'll have to say Clue.
Yeah, Miss Scarlet and Mr. Plum and Professor Plum. That's a good game. I still own that game. I still play it once in a while
with the
my
crowbar
family.
in the library.
Yeah. I like the little
Murder
murder
mystery.
mystery part, and it's kind of role playing at the same time. It was a fun game.
Yeah, it is a fun game. Awesome. And how about you, Jorge? What's your favorite board game?
Favorite board game. I grew up playing Parcheesi a lot. Weirdly enough,
Mhm.
um, if I could choose more than one, I would say that. And lately, I went to Walmart the other day and I found Hialeahpoly. So I picked that up and I'm dying to play it. It's so ridiculous. I saw it and I'm like, get out of here. I'm like, I'll pick it up. So, but Parcheesi, I grew up playing it with my family all the time, so I always
I
had a
think
blast playing it.
is that like sorry in English? Is that because I know Parcheesi, but is that
Basically,
okay?
it's kind of like sorry. It's kind of like sorry. It's a little. It's like 80%
Sorry,
sorry.
sorry with a twist.
It's kind
It's
of
a
like 80%
Latino,
sorry. Yeah, it's
like the
Latino
Latino side.
sorry.
Gotcha. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you guys. We had a lot of fun. And yeah, stay tuned. Make sure you check out the Kickstarter. All the links are going to be down below, so you can click right on it and go to the page and enjoy the stories that are coming out.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Go buy the book.